Hey folks, this is JR with DIY Prepper. Welcome to the channel. A couple weeks ago, I went on a trip that required me to get on an airplane. And as I'm sure all of you are aware, there are things that we like to have with us that you just can't take on an airplane. They'll get scooped up by security or you'll get thrown in jail if you try to take it through security, just depending on what it is. So today we're going to take a look at what I use for my carry-on bag and the stuff that I was able to get through that security. And keep in mind as we go through this, that this is useful for more than just like TSA at the airports. It's good for any situation where maybe you're traveling to a sensitive area and you can't have certain things. So first up, on the outside of my bag, I have a stainless steel clean canteen, and stainless steel water bottles like this are nice since you can boil water directly in them. Then on the other side, I have a Grail Ultra Press, and what's nice about these is that they'll filter out and remove pretty much any sort of contaminant you can think of. They'll remove bacteria, viruses, protozoa, also chemicals, microplastics, sediments, all the bad stuff. And having a couple of empty bottles with you is nice because you can't carry liquids on the airplane. Now, of course, you could get through security and then pay out the nose for like a $5 bottle of water or however much they are once you get through security. But of course, you can always just refill something like this at a water fountain if they have that at the airport. Now, flipping the bag over, on this back panel here, I have a couple of different things. First off, I have a poncho. That, of course, would be very useful if it decides to rain while I'm out and about, because this was the kind of trip where there's a lot of walking and you don't want to get rained on in a situation like that. And then, I don't know if you can see this, but I do have a level 3A ballistic panel in here. It's soft armor. It all depends on your TSA agent, but body armor is specifically listed as allowed on airplanes. And if it's in something like a backpack like this, you're not trying to get through with like a big gigantic plate carrier or some mess, then I don't think you'll have any trouble. I've flown with this a couple different times, been through TSA at different airports, total of 4 times, and haven't had any issues. I don't even think my bag has had to go through security twice. My shoes did. I don't understand what the heck happened there, but one of my shoes fell off the little conveyor belt and they had to run it through again, so I'm just standing there awkwardly with one shoe on, with all the rest of my stuff, including everything I have in this bag, and they're like looking at my shoe multiple times. Have no idea what that was about. Anyway, so inside of the main compartment here, I have a USB battery bank, then of course a phone charger. You always want to be able to communicate. And then I also have some hearing protection. I've shown these a couple of times on the channel. These are Walker's Disruptor earbuds, and they can connect to your phone so you can listen to music, things like that. But they also have interchangeable tips, and the ones I have on here right now are the foam ones that are designed to be used while you were shooting. And that's also nice on an airplane, because airplanes, they're pretty stinking loud, especially when somebody brings their tiny little yapping dogs on there and you're already tired, you're a little stressed, and you just don't want to deal with that. These will block out a ton of sound just because they have those, protective style tips. And then once you get music or a movie going, then you don't really have to worry about it at all, which is super nice. Then deeper inside of here, I did pack some extra clothes, mainly for cold weather because temperatures are starting to drop. And when I was flying back in, that's when the first polar vortex was going to be hitting Texas. But I just have some wool gloves. I had a balaclava. I also packed some wool socks when I went on the trip, along with some spare regular socks and underwear. Now, I do always check a bag when I fly so that I can carry certain things with me. But just in case that checked bag gets lost, it's always a good idea to have at least some spare socks and spare underwear with you. Even if you're not going to pack like an extra pair of jeans or t-shirt, in your bag. From a hygiene standpoint, you really want to have some extra socks and underwear, because you can get away with wearing the same jeans a couple of days in a row, but you don't want to try to wear the same underwear or socks a couple of days in a row. That's a very good way to smell like a moose and possibly get some gnarly skin infections down the road, which you don't want. Then inside of this other compartment here, I have several different things. This is kind of my dedicated survival compartment during just normal times, but it also holds a lot when I go on trips. I have some sunglasses in here, and then also snacks. I don't eat a whole lot when I go on trips just because the food is just crazy expensive. So I had some Cliff Bars and some jerky in here for times where I didn't want to pay for airport food, or if I'm on my feet a lot trying to get from point A to point B, I start to get a little hungry and I don't want to feel gross during that. I'll just eat some jerky or a Cliff Bar and I'm good to go. Then also had a Mylar blanket. Now with the Mylar blankets, you do need to be a little bit careful and a little bit prepared for your bag to maybe undergo a little bit of scrutiny, because I've read that the Mylar can look like it creates voids on their cameras. So just be aware that that might kind of trigger something, but it's totally okay to have with you. It's not illegal or dangerous in any way. Then I don't know if you can see it, I have some cash inside of that front compartment on this pocket organizer. And this was one thing I had to remove a lot of items from. I'll talk about those in a minute. But I have a few different flashlights. I have kind of a main EDC light in here. I have a smaller pocket flashlight in case this one goes down. And then I also have a headlamp. And having those three covers you in a lot of different situations. Of course, these will be primary. This in case you need to work hands-free with something. And also packed plenty of extra batteries for these. Every single one of these lights takes AAAs, and I believe this box holds 12 AAAs, so that's plenty good for what I would need. Also have a couple of extra charging cables, like that's a USB-C cable. Also have a micro USB, just in case I need to charge different things while I'm out, because I did bring things like my GoPro with me. Also, the micro USB in case I need to recharge the USB battery bank from the wall. Then I have some duct tape, also some paracord. Now, I didn't take the paracord with me because this is survivor cord, and I figured with the metal wire in it that might look a little weird going through their little camera, but just regular paracord you should be able to take with you. Then inside of this compartment here, I have a compass along with a few zip ties. Wow, there's actually a lot more in here than I thought there was, but that's not a bad thing. Of course, you know, things like the paracord, the zip ties, the duct tape, those are good if you need to make repairs to anything. Then also I have a ballpoint pen and a Write in the Rain pad just for taking notes. And then also, I mean, the Write in the Rain pad or any type of notepad would be good if you need some sort of easy fire tender. You would have that with you. Paper, of course, as we all know, lights very, very easy, and it's not likely to undergo scrutiny like maybe having some Vaseline cotton balls in here would be. I normally keep those in this compartment, but I went ahead and I took them out just so I wouldn't have to deal with any issues. Now, one thing that you can take on a plane that I decided not to was a lighter, like a disposable Bic style lighter. If you carry a Zippo, I believe it has to have all the fuel emptied out of it, but a disposable Bic you can carry with your pocket in through security with you. And for stuff like that, I would recommend just keeping it in your pocket. I also carried a small ferro rod with me on my key ring as I went through security. That's kind of a gray area. I don't know if necessarily that's allowed or not. I couldn't find anything where it said that it's not allowed, but I just kept it on my key ring, so it would be pretty, I mean, I heard that if it's on your key ring, it's less likely to undergo scrutiny than if it's just loose in a bag. Then another thing I kept in my jacket pocket was an N95 mask, just in case something happened where there was a lot of debris in the air. Now, as far as items that I had to take out of here, normally, inside of this backpack, I have a multi-tool. Have this BK2, and I have a spare magazine. if you are using your EDC bag that you normally keep those things in, you really need to make sure that you take that stuff out before you go through airport security, because especially something like this, that'll get your butt in big trouble if you try to go through airport security with that. And be especially careful if you are carrying, like if you ever use your EDC bag as a range bag, you want to make sure there's not some random loose 22 round floating around in the bottom of your bag, because that could cause problems for you as well. So really, for me, making sure all that stuff was out of the bag was more stressful for me than packing the bag itself. Even after I packed the bag, I went through it like 2 or 3 times just to make sure that there wasn't anything like that in there. Now, when I travel, I always check a bag so that I can have an EDC with me. I fly Southwest, so it's free, so it's not that big of a deal. I'll just have to wait for my bag once I land, which that's kind of a pain in the rear, but I do really like having certain things with me. Like I fly with a multi-tool. I have my little Victorinox Swiss Army, and then a dedicated EDC folder. Now, these are not my primaries. Since I am putting them in a checked bag under the plane that who knows what in the world can happen to it, I kind of like to carry my second line or some of my older gear with me. Like, I would much rather lose this $40 Kershaw Cryo than a nice Spyderco Paramilitary 2. Then I have this Leatherman. I like my Swiss tool a little bit more, so if something's going to get lost, it's going to be this. So just, if you do have to check a bag to carry those things with you, you might want to think about that. Maybe not bring like your prized possession or something with, what's the word? Don't carry anything that you have an emotional attachment to. Then, in these other pockets here, I do have some medical items. I have my small first aid kit that I always keep in my EDC bag. And inside of here, just some basic things. Things like bandages, motion sickness pills, other over-the-counter meds like pain relievers, fever reducers, and then a big one, Pepto chewable tablets. These are great because if you're traveling, you're probably going to be eating stuff maybe you wouldn't normally eat, and the last thing you want to do is get really, really sick before a flight. That actually happened on this trip. I wasn't really, really sick, but I got up an hour early, and for lack of a better phrase, I blew up the commode in the hotel, and I was able to eat these, feel good enough to get on the plane, and didn't have any issues after that. Then I also like to have some moleskin in there in case I start to get blisters on my feet because I'm walking a little bit more than normal. So you're not going to carry like a whole trauma kit. Well, so actually, fun fact, I think you can carry some more, some more advanced medical items with you. Like, I think supposedly you can even get through airport security with trauma shears, especially if it's part of a larger, more dedicated kit. But just be aware, anytime that you carry things like those medical shears through there, then prepare to undergo some additional scrutiny. And if you're carrying like a larger medical kit with you, be aware of any liquids that are in that kit, because you are limited on the amount of liquids that you can have with you. Then also like to keep a tourniquet in there, some quick clot gauze. And guys, that is not for like normal boo-boos. That's if somebody gets really, really hurt and you need to help them out before they can get to better medical care. That's what this is for. You just don't go around slapping this on people because they bump their head or they cut their finger and get a little boo-boo. That's like a life or death thing. Then also have a few bandanas in here just for cleaning tasks. And I mean, y'all know bandanas have numerous survival uses. I don't really want to go into those too much here. If you want to see a full rundown of my EDC bag and some of the other less security friendly items I normally like to keep in it, then click here. Or if you want to see some preps that everybody should stockpile, then click here. Thank y'all for stopping by. Y'all have a good one.